everybody. Happy Thursday. How's everybody's week going so far? We're so close to the weekend. It's so nice. It's so nice. I've got a class this weekend. Did you know that? Have you signed up for my Michael's class? This Saturday class for Michael's is a fun one. It's not a hard one. We're just going to be doing some stringing, but the results are so good. I just love it. The bracelet that we're making is going to be amazing. So if you haven't signed up for my Michael's class, all of that information is in the Sara Ellis Designs community group. Joan has been such a sweetheart. She works so hard, you guys. She needs lots and lots of love. She put together an event for that. She has all of the information for you if you need to know how to sign up for that. So you guys, give Joan lots of love. She works very, very hard for me, and she has no idea how much it means to me. I mean, she has a little bit of an idea, but like my gratitude to Joan is just it's huge. She just doesn't know how much I love her. Hi everybody. Hi Darlene. Hi Sharon. Hi Katie. Joan's in the house. Hello Joan. Hi Constance. Hi everybody. Welcome in. Welcome. So we've got some new faces today. So be sure everybody, when you see a new face, to welcome them in, give them the big live wires love that you guys are so good at. Hi Suzanne. Oh, Katie says, yes, the bracelet looks awesome. It is. It's going to be a fun one. It's just a simple stringing project, but I got to tell you, like sometimes there's just nothing better than just some simple stringing. You know, I just love it. I just love it. In fact, a lot of my Michael's classes that are coming up for the next several weeks are ones that I really love. Like we're doing a lot of really fun, easy projects that are like, they're the cream of the crop, particularly when it comes to instant gratification jewelry, but looks good. I'm feeling that. So it's Thursday. That means it is a little bit of Throwback Thursday, meaning we've done a project sort of like this before. And I say that in a very loose way because we have used elements of this project in previous ways. That's really kind of what I mean. I don't necessarily mean that we've done this exact project. So this is going to be a fun one. It's an easy one, but the results were super cool. And the results can be altered to create anything that you want, right? You can do this and turn them into pendants. You can make earrings with smaller pieces, smaller parts. It's just a simple, fun little wire wrapped project that we're going to do to create some really fun earrings. But before we get started with that, I do have some things that I want to mention to you guys. It's the housekeeping. It's the part that not everybody, but it's the part that the trolls over on YouTube hate the most because they want me to just get straight to the point. Like they can't fast forward. I don't know. So at this point, if you want to mute and pick up later, or if you want to hit that fast forward button, that's okay with me. I won't be mad about it. But we do have some things to discuss, live wires, my darlings. So coming up this month, some changes are coming to the Sara Ellis Designs. So they're good changes. No worries. In fact, it won't just be this month, but over the next several weeks. So from now until into the summer, there are going to be some changes that are happening, and they are all good changes. One of the first changes that you are going to notice, well, you won't notice this one at first. One of the later changes is actually going to be a name change. It doesn't change anything other than just how you're going to find my group. Other than that, it's really not anything major. Just know that that is coming. So eventually you'll get the notification for that. It's going to be a minute, but just know that eventually we'll be named something else. The most exciting part, the most exciting thing for me is that I am going to put together some new stuff for you guys. One of the new things that is coming is going to be another group. I know, crazy, right? Because we have the Sara Ellis Designs community, we have the Inspiration Station D-Stash, and we have the Straighten Your Crown. If you guys are not part, hi Tracy, welcome in, my friend. If you guys are not part of those three groups, pick one, any of them, or all three, and come and join them. So the Sara Ellis Designs community, of course, is the big hub where everything kind of originated. That is where all of the inspiration, all the videos, all the fun, all the camaraderie, all of that stuff happens. If you're not part of the Sara Ellis Design community, please come and join. We want you guys to come and be a part of that. Such a wonderful community, tons of inspiration. The Inspiration D-Stash, or Inspiration Station D-Stash, is exactly what it sounds like. It is a D-Stash group where you can post all of the things that you want to get rid of. which is fantastic because one man's trash is another person's treasure, correct? Especially when it comes to beads and jewelry making. So that's a fun one if you've got stuff you want to unload onto somebody else, or if you are looking to build up your stash, that's a great place. There's always fun stuff like posted there. The third group is the Straighten Your Crown group, which is a completely un-jewelry related group. It is just a group for those of us who want to connect to each other outside of the jewelry making world. It is also a safe place for those of you who are going through something in life. If you are struggling through a hardship or you're dealing with rough times, this is a great place to come. It is a safe place where everything that you say stays within the group. There is tons of support. There's information if you need outside support, if you need, medical support. This is a group for people who struggle with anxiety, depression, divorce, relationship issues, or if you don't deal with any of those things and you are just a good friend and a good listener. Come and be a part of that group because you never know what advice you might have to give to somebody else that may change their life, right? It is just a warm, welcome place for everybody to come and feel safe and talk about things other than jewelry. So if you're interested in that, please come and do that as well. Okay, so the fourth group, right? What? Sarah must be crazy. She's putting together a fourth group. Yes, I am. And this is going to launch towards the middle of the month. Now, let me explain what this fourth group is going to be. The fourth group is actually going to be a paid group. What? Yeah, I'm asking for money. I know. But let me explain. So the new paid group, you will pay a monthly membership to be a part of that group where you will get one-on-one more attention design from me. That group will have tons of perks. So there will be 2 lives a week that will be private to the paid group. One will be a project that we're going to do together. The second live will be a question and answer session. There will be threads where you can post all of your questions. There will be a monthly social Zoom. There will be a monthly guest member from somebody else in the jewelry industry to come and share tips and tricks with you guys. And there's also going to be a maker spotlight, like a feature of a designer within our group, and that person will be featured in the unpaid group. So I know I try not to ask people for money. I really just don't. I really try, but girl's gotta keep her lights on. So that will be coming soon. That will not be an expensive group. I try to put the price point down so that everybody can be a part of it. This is not a monthly subscription service, so don't get confused. There will not be, you're not going to get something monthly in the mail. There won't be beads or anything like that. It's just going to be a group where there is more one-on-one teaching. The projects are going to be a little bit harder, and you're going to get some extras that you're not necessarily getting here in the free group, okay? It's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and that's totally okay. I just want to give you guys a heads up that that's exactly what is coming up very, very soon. And let's see, what else is coming? I've got a collaboration coming up, and you guys have already guessed who one of those collab members is going to be. You might have met him early this week. And it also includes another one of my beadie friends in the industry. So that's coming soon. We're actually working feverishly behind the scenes to put that together. So just know that that is coming. And when it comes, it's going to be so fun. I cannot wait to spill the beans on that one. All right. And then I feel like there's one other thing I need to tell you guys. I just wanted to mention tomorrow is Feel Good Friday. So of course there will be kits available in the Etsy shop. Those are going to, of course, go live right before the live tomorrow. And also don't forget that there is a Sara Ellis Designs tip jar. You do not have to give to the tip jar, but if you would like to give to the tip jar, you can give to PayPal or you can give to the Cash App. Joan has all of the, Nicole says, take my money. I always look up right at the perfect time. You do not have to give to the tip jar, but if you do, just know that it is very much appreciated because I do a lot and it takes a lot to keep all of these projects going. So, yeah. Just know, that's all the housekeeping, you guys. I won't keep you in suspense anymore. I know you're all here for a project, so that's what we're going to do. But I had to get all that information out. All right, so yeah, Joan's got the information for all of you guys. If you're interested in the tip jar, it's not a have to. It's just a thank you, you know? All right, let's get to it, shall we? turning us around. All right. So let's get down to business. Let me try to adjust here. Oh my goodness. I don't know what's going on with my tripod today. All right, so we're going to put together a chip jar. Yes, Wanda, Sarah does need snacks. Lots of snacks, please. Please send snacks to the P.O. box. But if you do, I'm just kidding, you don't have to. But if you do, definitely let me know ahead of time so they don't sit there and, you know, go bad at the post office. Okay, so Ramona says question. Yes, Ramona, what's your question, my darling? All right, so I'm going to get started. So, you guys, we're using little, I call these sticks. I don't really know what else to call them. Sticks, chunks, I don't know. But you know what I'm talking about because these are nice and clean, but some of them are not. Some of these can come in like crystal form with the jaggedy top. Do you know what I'm talking about? I wish I had one here. I bet I do. I bet I've got one close enough to show you what I mean. So this project is going to work on just about anything. Can I use the flush cutter on steel beading wire? Absolutely. Do not do that. That's a good question. Do not use your flush cutter. Do not, particularly these guys, do not use these guys on steel wire or memory wire. And memory wire, remember, is tempered steel. Don't do it because what ends up happening is you will crack the blades. Let me show you. I've got a pair of that. I just cannot for the life of me seem to throw away. Did you see the cracks in that? That's from cutting things I shouldn't cut, like steel. And once that happens, you can't do anything with them anymore. I mean, you can. I save them and cut other things with them, but look how terrible. Like you can't resharpen those. So yeah, please don't use special designed cutters for heavy duty wire, and steel definitely classifies as heavy duty. Okay. All right, so this is what I'm talking about. So this is probably not the best example ever, but a lot of people get these beads and sometimes don't really know what to do with them other than just string them, right? So they're drilled across the top most of the time, and they can be jaggedy and very raw crystal looking, or they can be nice and clean like this guy. So this project is going to work for either one, and it's also going to work with briolets and other things that are shaped where the drill is across the top. Okay, so this is a very kind of universal technique that we're going to do, and it's so easy. So easy. I can't wait for you guys to see how easy. Okay, so as far as the wire is concerned, I'm using artistic wire, which is different for me because I normally use German style wire for 95% of the things that I do. Katie says, do we know the price yet or not? You do not. I will let you know as soon as that is ready to go. But I can promise you it is less than $30. Okay. It's less than $30, probably by a lot. So we're talking like right around the $20 range. Okay. So this is, let's see, this is 20 gauge, which is also different for me. I normally use German style wire and 22 gauge. We're actually using some 20 gauge artistic wire. This comes in one of those packs where you can buy the varieties of color. This is tinned copper. So it's more of like a nickel color. It's more kind of a gray or rhodium than it is like a bright silver. In fact, let me just show you kind of the difference. I don't know if you can tell or not. That's probably a bad example. Well, there you go. You can see it's just a little bit darker than the silver German style wire that I use. Okay. And I just felt like this looked really good with our TierraCast link that we're going to use. So I've got 20 gauge artistic wire in tinned silver or tinned copper, and I also have some in 24 gauge. Okay, so you need 2 gauges for this. One a teeny beanie gauge, 24 or 26, and then a bulkier gauge, which is going to be 20 or 22. Okay, don't go any bigger or thicker than that in diameter. You're going to have some problems. So to get started, what we want to do is we want to wire wrap this guy, and we want to wire wrap it so that we have covered all of the top of this, but then we also have enough to thread some beads on. So when it comes to your measurement for your wire, you're going to need a lot. Okay, I'm talking, you know, it really is going to kind of depend on how much of the wire wrapping around. Let me show you how big and chunky you want this top part to be. So I'm going to give myself like 36 inches. Like and I probably won't use that much at all. But 20 or 22 gauge on this. And the artistic wire really is much easier to work with if you ask me. Okay. That's just my opinion when it comes to doing this kind of messy wire wrap. Okay. So now what we want to do, once we've cut our wire, we want to thread our top drilled bead on, and you want to thread that on not to the middle, but you want to put this, you want to give yourself probably about 6 to 8 inches on one side, and then your wrapping wire on the other side. We're going to treat this just like we would a briolette of, you know, of any kind when we get started. So we're going to take those two wires and we're going to bend them up this direction. I have ink on my fingers. Please don't judge me. Just noticed it in the viewfinder. I'm like, ew, what is that? It's my ink from my ink pen. So bring your two wires up and you're going to cross those at the top, okay, to make your little triangle. We've done this a bunch, okay? And your triangle may not be perfect because your bead is not necessarily going to be perfect. When we're working with the kind of beads that are shaped kind of irregular and more natural, you're going to have less perfection than you would like a machine cut briolette, okay? So your little triangle may sit more to one side than the other or whatever, and that's okay, okay? You just want to be sure that you cross those two wires. And then you want to come in with your pliers, and your short wire, I want to bend it straight up and down, okay? So it's going just right up. We're going to eventually use this to add beads to. And then the other wire, I want to bend outwards. So I just give it just a little bend, okay? Now I want to start to wire wrap with my longer wire, and instead of wrapping upwards, we're going to wrap downwards, and we're going to do probably 3 wraps kind of around this triangle section. Okay, so it's not going to be perfect. This is messy wrapping, so all of you who are uncomfortable with your wire wrapping, this is going to be perfect for you. Okay, because it doesn't have to be perfect at all. So I've wrapped around once, and wrap around a few more times, and I'm working in a small area with a really long piece of wire. So you just kind of have to bear with me here when it comes to the angle that I'm sitting at. Okay, so I've wrapped around about 3 times, right? I want to keep going. Try to cover up as much of that triangle area as you can, okay? And it may want to, see how mine is slipping off the top of the bead? I really don't want it to do that. So you may have to come in with your pliers and kind of readjust everything. You really want that wire wrap to stay up at the top of your bead, okay? And notice, mine is off, now it's off to the side, which is gonna drive me absolutely crazy, but it's okay because we're going to cover all of this up. Now, before I continue, I actually want to bring my wire down over. See how I'm kind of coming down and across? And I want to wrap directly underneath where the wire is coming out on either side of our bead. Okay. And I want to go around at least once. Now you're just gonna get crazy and you're just gonna wrap. Now you just want to fill in the space. That's all you want to do. And as much as bulky as you want it to be, okay? Doesn't have to be perfect. You can make it as thick as you want. You can make it as perfect as you want. I just want it to be chunky and fun, and I want it to be as, you know, kind of natural as, well, it's not natural, it's wire, but you know what I mean? I want it to still have that same kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Organic feel to it that the bead does, because the bead is irregular, right? So the wire wraps, you know, unless you want them to be perfect, all lined up wire wraps, then the technique is a little bit different, but I want it to be this kind of chunky monkey free flow messy thing, which really opens the door of possibilities to those of you who are, you know, you feel like you're not super good at your wire wrapping. This kind of gives you permission to just make it messy and fun, okay? The only thing is that if you're doing 2, you want to be sure that they kind of match. So you don't, I mean, they're not going to match perfectly, but I mean, as far as like the density of the wraps, if one of them is really thick and chunky, you want to make the other one thick and chunky too. You don't want one to be heavier than the other. So try to keep them, you know, as close together visually as you can. Okay. Now, once you've gone around as many times as you want to bring the tail of your wire back up here to this top wire that is coming just straight out the top. Remember where we had bent this one, and just wrap around a couple of times right up there. And then you're just going to trim off. Okay. I just wrapped around what was already there, right? Decide what's going to be the front or the back, stop on the back, and then you just want to come in with your cutter tool and trim it off. Now, do you guys want to see another one that's just a different kind of bead before we go forward? I think that's what I'll do, because we're going to work these earrings up pretty quickly, but I want to show you the wire wrapping thing again, because I feel like, you know, it doesn't hurt to see it more than once on something different. So remember this guy that I brought in a minute ago, just to kind of show you. Let's do it on this guy and see how irregular this guy is at the top. That's, you know, that's going to be an issue, but it's all going to work out the same. So let me show you. Let me grab some more wire just to kind of show you, because everybody's beads are going to look differently, right? Susie says, how do you get the initial wrap tight? Well, Susie, it really doesn't, it's not super duper tight, to be honest with you. I kind of rely on the rest of the wraps to make it tight, but we'll walk through it. We'll walk through it, because that's a really good question, and one that will, you know, you're going to get hung up on. And I don't want you to struggle with that. Okay. So I cut myself another piece of wire. I'm going to set this to the side because we're going to finish our earring with this exact one, but I just want to be sure that, you know, you've got the knowledge that you need for whatever kind of bead you've got here. Okay. So same thing. I'm going to take my wire, thread my bead on. Okay. And again, I want to give myself about 6 inches out one side, and then the rest of my wrapping wire nice and long on the other. Okay. And I'm going to take my 2 wires up here towards the top. Now, because it's irregular shaped up here at the top, you're going to kind of have to eyeball it a little bit and like decide, well, do I want it to sit off center? Is it going to be okay off centered, or is it going to bug me? If it's going to bug me that it's going to sit off center, then I need to make my adjustments with my wires. So see how I've kind of taken this one down a little bit to curve this direction. This one's still kind of going this way. That makes our triangle section, it sits off center just a little bit, but it will make our straight up and down wire, which is actually not going to be the long one. Hold on. Let me go ahead and bend this one that way. Our straight up and down wire is actually going to be our short wire, but the triangle, the wire is going to come out straight, but the triangle is not. Do you see what I'm saying? So that little triangle that happens is not going to happen, you know, straight up and down. Okay. But it still works out. It still works out. We just have more to wire wrap over the top of. But we take our short wire, it's going straight out. Our long wrapping wire is coming out to the side. Make sure you do this bend. If you don't do this bend and you just kind of, you know, curve it over, it doesn't really work out very well for you. And I think you'll end up more frustrated than anything. Okay, so the first wrap is just the long wire around the short wire. And you can come in, if you've got room, you can come in and hold it with your pliers. I don't really have room to do that because of the way this bead is shaped. So I'm just very carefully kind of using my fingers to wrap it around. Okay. It's not a super tight wrap. You can see there's even daylight in my wrap, and you guys know my wire wraps are usually like spot on, but you can see that's not a perfect little wrap, right? Hi, Stacia. Welcome in, my friend. So how do you make it tight? You just, I don't really have the perfect answer to that because it's not going to be super tight. You're going to rely on the rest of your wire wrapping to kind of tighten it up and hold everything in place. I think more than worrying about that being tight, you want to worry more about having a straight wire coming out the top, and then the rest of it kind of takes care of itself. So I'm going to wrap around a few more times, okay, underneath the wrap that we already made, right? We're not going up, we're going downwards, which is different than our normal wires. Okay, now I'm going to jump down. I'm going to actually come across the bead, and I want to wrap underneath those guys, right? Underneath where the wire is coming out either side. That's going to help me ensure that at least that gets covered up, okay? And then you just want to do whatever you want to do. However much wire you've got, just kind of want to fill in, wrap it around willy-nilly. If it's going to bug you that you can see the bead underneath there, then obviously you want to make your wire wraps thicker. Or if you don't care if your bead shows underneath there, then you can make your wraps around nice and, you know, open. But don't get mad at it. Just like, you know, let it do what it wants to do and embrace that messiness of it. And you can see we've still got that wire coming straight out the top, right? So no matter what we do down here, we've still got our wire in the right place when we're ready to, whoops. And you can always undo. See how mine came a little loose? You can always undo and just kind of free form it, okay? And then when you're done, bring your wire back up here to the top, and that's where you're really going to reinforce that wire wrap that wasn't super, super tight to start with, right? Because we're just going to wrap around it a couple of times. That's really going to make it nice and tight. I don't have to worry about it anymore, right? Come to the back with whatever's left over and trim it off. Now you've got this wire coming straight out the top that you can do whatever you want to with, right? And that's messy, guys. It's so messy, but it's kind of freeing, to be completely honest with you. It's nice sometimes to just bundle the wire around and be like, "Ooh, that's fun." Because I'm such a perfectionist. It's really, you know, it's good for me to do that kind of thing every once in a while. So if you're in the same boat as me and you're a super perfectionist, it's fun to do this kind of project and just let it be a mess. Like, that's a hot mess, but it looks really cool. And that's the way that it's supposed to look. Now, if you want to go even further with this, you can actually, before you cut off your wire, if you've got maybe 12, 13 inches of wire left, you can actually add some small beads to this and wrap around so that you've got little dots of extra beads going through this as well, which is kind of cool. So you can do so many things with this technique, right? All right, so we've wire wrapped twice. I really like this one. I've got to figure out what I want to do with it next. Let's go back to our piece of Aventurine, because that's what we're going to make our earring out of, right? So now what I want to do is I want to wire wrap this directly to our TierraCast link here. We've got this really cool kind of triangle link with the texture on it. It doesn't have to be a rectangle. It doesn't have to be one of these. It could be round. TierraCast has a ton of really cool links, so any kind of textured ring from them is going to look amazing. And I want it to be wire wrapped directly, was what I was trying to get at. See how I don't have a jump ring there? I want to wrap that directly to it, and that's why we left so much wire here. So pick the front, okay, and then you want to thread on some beads. So I've got a piece of Amazonite. I'm going to thread it on, just a little pop of blue. And then I've got a little copper metal bead because I want to mix in some copper with this. I like the mixed metal look, so I'm going to add that to that. Now, to me, those beads look kind of funny just sitting there all by themselves, right? That's why we're going to wrap around, and then we're going to kind of wrap around those beads as well, just to kind of make everything look a little bit more cohesive, okay? So what I need to do now is make a wrapped loop, but I need my loop to be big enough to clear the edge of our component here. So I normally make small loops. I'm going to make more of a large loop this time. So I'm going to come in with my chain nose pliers. I'm going to bend that wire out towards the front, okay? Because we want that loop to go around this, not side to side. Okay, now I'm going to come in with my round nose pliers. Normally, you guys, I usually make my loops right up here towards the top of my round nose pliers, but I'm going to come all the way back here to the back of the pliers so that I can make a nice and wide loop. So I just take that wire up and over the top barrel of the pliers, Okay, we're going to treat this the same way. I still need to get that wire to the front. I can't because the bottom barrel of the pliers is in the way. So I need to rotate my pliers without moving the wire, and then I can take the wire over and I can take it off of the tool, and you can see we've got a nice big loop. So at this point, before we do any wire wrapping, we want to thread our component on. So you just want to very, very easy with this, because this is artistic wire, so it's a little softer, but you just want to snap those two together just like that. And it might distort your loop a little bit. That's okay. That's okay. Because when it's all said and done, nobody's going to notice if that loop is more of a teardrop, which mine is going to be. See? So I just wire wrap directly to the component. Now I come in with my bent chain nose pliers so I can hold on to that loop. I'm going to switch hands, and I'm going to wrap between the loop and that top bead about 3 times. But now, is that what I did? Yeah. Now I'm going to go across the surface diagonally of the metal bead. I'm going to wrap between those 2 beads and then come back and wrap around the surface of the blue bead and wrap around. Okay. And I can take it off of the tool at this point, kind of hold on and just use the rest of the wire to kind of fill in at the top of your wire wraps if you want to, but it's going to appear to be pretty seamless. Okay. So get to wherever you want to stop and then come in with your cutter tool and trim that off. Now, the only thing is that if you've kind of come down with your wire wraps a little bit instead of stopping right underneath the bead, you definitely want to come in with your chain nose pliers and kind of push that wire end down, because you don't want that to get hung on your clothing. So run your fingers across it and make sure that that little piece is not sticking out. Okay. But that's what we've got so far, which looks super cool all by itself, might I add. You could just add an ear wire to this and be done with it. But I like to be extra because I am extra. So I want to add more fun dangles to mine. So let me show you what the finished one looks like. So I use copper for the rest of my findings. And I'm going to use 2 pieces of copper wire. And we're going to use some little 3mm Czech glass beads to just add some extra dangles and fun to this. Now at this point, you don't have to continue. You can stop if this is too big or too much of an earring for you. And you can always go smaller, of course. But we're going to go extra. So I have a 4mm jump ring in copper with 2 pieces of chain hanging from it. And notice they're different lengths. One's a little bit longer than the other, but not by a whole lot. Okay. We're going to use those, and we want to bring in our little Czech glass rounds. These are like an AB finish, but they also have that rose gold, which definitely goes with the copper. It becomes more copper, if you ask me, if you put it all together. All right, so now we're going to use, remember I mentioned we were going to use some 24 gauge wire for this, and we want this smaller wire. So 24 or 26 is going to be what you're going to want. Okay. Give yourself, I don't know, 4 inches of this. You don't need a ton of it. Okay. And we are going to do a wrapped loop, and we're going to wrap directly to our component. See how this one is wire wrapped directly to the component. So there's no jump ring. So we got to do another really big loop here. Okay. So I'm going to come in with my chain nose pliers. I'm going to come down about 1.5 inches, bend that wire. So I've got this kind of backward 7. Okay. I'm going to come in with my round nose pliers. Jane has started a shouting match in the comments. Oh my gosh. Jane. Jane and Wanda and Nicole. Everybody see me after class. All right, so I'm going to hold on. I've got that wire. Remember, I'm taking it back here to the back because we want a big loop. So I'm going up and over the top barrel of the pliers, but way back here on the back. Okay, I got to move the pliers. So just rotate so that you can take the wire all the way around to close up your loop. I'm going to take it off of the tool, and then we want to very carefully snap it in place with our component. So how do we do that? We just take that tail end of the wire, go through the center, bring the loop right up next to the component, and then you kind of have to use your fingers here to wiggle that component into your loop. And if you mess up the first time and totally distort your loop, that's okay. You can start over again. but you will just find that sweet spot where you can bring the two together, okay? Now, I use the bent chain nose pliers. Nicole, no, I do not. Bring in your bent chain nose pliers again, okay, to hold that loop together. And then you want to wire wrap. We're going to go around about 3 times or 4, whichever, okay? And then we want to trim that off. Oh, I'm using the bad cutters. See what you guys have done. Made me bring in the bad cutters. Get my good cutters in here. All right. So now we are ready to add our beads. So we're going to add... I do too, Anne. I do too. It wouldn't be alive without all the shenanigans in the comments. Like, I live for that. It makes me so happy. So I'm going to thread on 3 of these little 3mm Czech glass rounds and drop those down. And now we're going to do another little wrapped loop, but this one doesn't have to be a big one, right? So we're going to do a small one. I'm going to come in with my chain nose pliers. Okay, and we're just going to do a little, whoops, we're going to do a little wrapped loop. So bend the wire over the top of the pliers. Okay, now I'm going to come in with my round nose pliers. It fits perfectly in that little space. And I'm keeping this one of my nice and small loops. So we're staying down here towards the front of the tool. And I'm going to go up and over, rotate the pliers, and take the wire over. And then we are going to wire wrap. Go around about 3 times, and then you're ready to trim off your tail. Okay. My favorite, Karen, my favorite flush cutter is this one right here. This one is the Italian flush cutter from Beadalon. And if you take really good care of it, it lasts forever. It's a little bit on the pricey side. Like, I'm not going to lie. This is not a cheap tool by any means. But like I said, if you take care of it, it will last forever. And it really, I've loved it more than any of the other ones that I've ever had. Okay, so now we've got our little dangle. It's ready for some extras. So I'm going to go ahead and attach my chain piece here and, well, chain pieces because it's 2. One's a little bit longer than the other one, but I'm just going to hold that jump ring between 2 pairs of pliers, okay? And I'm only going to move 1 pair of the pliers. So hold the left or your non-dominant hand, hold it stationary. Use the other hand to just walk it open. Don't pull your jump rings apart. Walk them open in that kind of lateral twist, okay? Because you'll never get them back to that perfect round shape otherwise. I'm going to thread that on, and then the same thing, I'm just going to hold and then walk it backwards. And just make sure that I get a good, nice closure on that, and there's not any overlapping or any gaps, because you don't want your jump ring or any of your other stuff. You don't want your chain and your wrapped loop to sneak out of there, okay? All right, so far, that's what we've got. But I can't leave the chain without extra beads on the bottom. I just can't. So we're going to use the opportunity to do our own knotted head pins because we haven't done those in a while. So we're going to do 2 knotted head pins, and we're going to do it with artistic wire, and we're going to make it with the tiny wire. So I'm going to take another piece of this 24 gauge wire and just kind of straighten it out. Okay. You only need about 4 inches or less. Okay. Now I'm going to come in with my round nose pliers. I'm going to grab that wire right at the tip of the wire at the tip of the pliers. Okay. So holding on, and I'm going to wrap this wire around the pliers at the tip twice. So there's 1 all the way around, and then I'm going to wrap directly underneath that one all the way around. And then stop. And I know that I've made it twice because I can see that flush cut on the wire, okay? So when I take it off, which you don't want to, but just to show you, that's what you've got. You've got 2 tiny little loops. Put it back on the tool, don't take it off. Now, holding it just like this so that the wire is coming towards you, your pliers are lined up just like this where you're looking straight on at the 2 barrels of the pliers. You want to take the bottom of your wire and you want to bend it out this direction. So you want to bend it away from the tool. And that's actually going to cause it to bend underneath the 2 coils that you made, okay? Now take it off of the pliers, and this is what you've got. Okay, very carefully, because this is 24 gauge wire, so it's not as sturdy as what we're used to using when we do this. We're going to take the tail of that wire and bend it around, and we want to stick it back through those two coils that we made. It's going to make this little lasso shape. Okay. Mindy says, my knotted head pins look like a hot mess all the time. That is okay. Mine do most of the time too. You are in good company, my friend. It's okay. All right. Now you want to use your nylon jaw pliers for this. You do not want to use regular pliers because you will strip that coating off of the outside of your wire. So you want to grab the wire that is running between the barrel of the pliers, and the two coils that you made are right up against the edge. Okay. And now I want to come in with another pair of pliers. I want to grab that wire and pull. And when you pull, that's what's going to create your little knot. It's going to make a tiny little knot, a little rosette right on the end of your wire. And when you take it off of the tool, you've made yourself a little head pin, right? So now I'm going to take two of our little Czech glass rounds, drop those on, and I'm going to do a wrapped loop. Okay. So grabbing right where the wire is exiting the bead, give it a bend. Round nose pliers coming in, going up and over, rotate your pliers, and take the wire over to the other side. Now I want to wire wrap this directly to our piece of chain. So taking it off of the tool, I'm going to take the end link of one of my little pieces of chain, and I'm going to take that wire and thread it directly through, and then just snap the two together. Okay. And come in with the bent chain nose pliers to hold the loop. And then I'm going to wire wrap. Okay. About 3 times. And then I want to come in and cut off the tail. Okay, check it, make sure there's not any sticking out. And we're going to do that one more time, and then we're going to add our ear wires, and we'll be done. So we're going to do one more knotted head pin. It's always good to see it more than once, right? So take the tip of the wire and the tip of your round nose pliers. It is magical, Wanda. I'm going to roll that wire around the very tip of the round nose pliers once, and then a second time directly underneath the first one. Stop where you see the flush cut in the wire. Okay. Hold the tool this direction and bend the wire that way, so the wire goes away from the tool. Okay, take it off, and then you want to take the wire and bend it back through and place it through the two coils that you made for your little lasso. And we're going to come in with our nylon jaw pliers, and you want to hold it so those two coils right up on the edge. Okay, don't leave yourself any extra room there. Make them extra friendly with each other, and pull. And you're going to create your little rosette. Okay, 2 more Czech glass rounds. Thank you, Beverly. That means so much to me. It really, really does. Okay, drop my my 2 beads down. And we're going to do one more wrapped loop. And remember, we want to wrap this directly to our chain. Okay, so don't do the wrapping part yet. Grab the wire, bend 90 degrees. Got that little space in between there, right? We don't have to measure. We let the tool do all that for us. When you bend over the top of the pliers, there's a perfect amount of room there. We're going to come in with our round nose pliers. Hold the tool still, take the wire up and over the top barrel of the pliers, and then rotate the pliers to get that wire over to the other side. Take it off of the tool, and we want to thread that end through our second piece of chain here. So just take those two and just pop those two little guys together. That's the part Wanda likes the best. And we're going to come in with our bent chain nose pliers and hold that loop. And then wire wrap. All right. And then we're going to trim off. And that's basically it, you guys. We're done with this part. Now all we need to do is just add our ear wires to it. Now, again, this is a big, bold, in-your-face, crazy fun earring. This might be way too much for some people. So just make one and turn it into a pendant. Hang it from a piece of beautiful leather, hang it from some chain, put it on the copper chain to bring that copper color into it more. Or if you feel like this is not enough and you could be even more bold, add more dangles to this, right? You've got a nice big connector here, this big link, so you could really fill it up with whatever you wanted to and either make a rocking pair of earrings, or you could make an amazing pendant full of all kinds of fun dangles, okay? So we're just gonna go ahead and finish ours off. We're gonna use 2 jump rings. I've got a 6mm and a 4mm and an ear wire. And I'm going to use the 6mm to clear the component. Okay, nice and big. I'm going to go ahead and thread on my 4mm jump ring before I close that. Our 4mm jump ring is the go-between so that our ear wire is facing in the right direction, right? And then I'm just going to very carefully open my ear wire. And I treat the ear wire the same way I do a jump ring, right? We're opening with a twist. I'm going to thread that onto that 4mm and then the twist to close it. And that's it. Ta-da! There you go. They're so fun. They're so fun and so different. And I know it's a big earring, but you totally can make this smaller. You can use smaller components, use smaller beads, take out the chain, make your little link a smaller link if you want to. TierraCast has got some smaller links so that it doesn't have to be so big and bold. But, you know, if you do love the bold style and it's just too much for your ears, put it on a necklace. Be so cool. All right, I'm going to turn you around so I can put them on because I've been dying to wear these. I've been looking forward to putting these on since I put them together on Monday. That's how long I've been sitting on these guys. I've been waiting with these since Monday. Love them so much. I'm a huge fan of the mixed metals, the copper and that tinned copper together, because the tinned copper is not really copper, right? It's more of like a silvery color. Oh my gosh, those are so fun. They're so fun. I love it. I'll definitely have to put a pair of these in the Etsy shop for anybody who's interested, but gosh, those are so fun. I love it. I love it. Really cool. And what's cool about them is that they're not heavy. I like that part a lot. And that definitely goes towards what size bead and you know, if you pick a heavy bead, obviously they're going to be heavy, but the components, that link from TierraCast is nice, lightweight. It's awesome looking and it's substantial, but it's not heavy, which I love about their stuff. You know, I love it because it's gorgeous, but it's not like going to totally, see, it's not even pulling my ear down. So that's really cool. So fun. Needs a necklace to go with it. Wanda says, icy snacks. Oh, I was like, what is she talking about? There's a bag of pretzels. Thanks, Wanda. I meant to move those before the live. I completely forgot. I think they've been sitting there for a while, actually. Yeah, busted. You see snacks in my shot. Oh, my goodness. All right, so project number two, well, it's actually project number 1 because we didn't technically do a project on Tuesday. We just hung out with Sam. But live number 2 in the books for the week, right? Super fun, super fun. I hope you guys have enjoyed this project. If you don't recreate these, but you do take the techniques and turn them into something else, I want to see it. Tag me. Let me know. Post it over in the Sara Ellis Designs community. That is a wonderful place. Come join if you're not part of it. The shenanigans that happen there. Yes, it is so good. So good. And if you do recreate these exactly or as close as possible, then post them and tag me as well. I want to see all of it, basically. That's what I'm saying in the long, drawn out, chattery way that I do. Oh, gosh. All right, so that's it for me today. You guys, you can catch me tomorrow for Feel Good Friday. Feel Good Friday, for those of you who are new, means the projects are quick, easy, instant gratification jewelry that you can easily recreate with things in your own stash, or you can buy the kits to recreate the exact pieces and they will be in my Etsy shop. So yes, that's what's coming up tomorrow. Feel Good Friday, best day of the week for me. And then don't forget to sign up for my Michael's class on Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. We're doing a really fun stringing project. It's easy, but gosh, it's so pretty. The beads just really make it amazing. Let's see. Can you make the headlines with 22 gauge? Headlines? You can do anything with 22 gauge. 22 gauge is my gauge. Like, I use that for everything. So my answer is yes. I don't know. I'm not sure what you're asking me. So Janelle says, thanks for another great show. You're so welcome. You're so welcome. It was fun. It was fun. I'll pop these. Actually, I'm going to make a second pair, and I'll pop the second pair into the Etsy shop for anybody who is interested. Yeah. The head pins, that's what she was asking. Yes, you can. The head pins, we normally make that with 22 gauge. We were just using the 26 gauge today to keep it kind of small, but 22 is the gauge I always use for my wrapped head pins or my knotted head pins. All right, guys, have a wonderful rest of the afternoon, and I will see you guys tomorrow.